Yes, sir.
Yes. So mainly the architecture of 8086 is divided into two functional units, bus interfacing unit and execution unit. So we have already seen the bus interfacing unit, and we discussed the what are the functional units, or the what are the parts of the bus interfacing unit and their functions. And now in today's session, so we will discuss the execution unit of the 8086. So here it is the execution unit. It is the second functional unit of the 8086 architecture, where the execution unit it receives the instructions and the data from the bus interfacing unit, and then it executes the instructions and it stores the results in the general purpose registers. So it performs the mainly three functions. So it receives the codes and data from the BIU, and then after that it executes the instructions according to the data. And third one is, after executing, the results are stored in the general purpose registers. Okay, and here, so you can see the what are the functional units of the execution unit here. So if we go back to the architecture, if we go back to the architecture, so if you go back to the architecture, here you can see the what are the functional units of the execution unit here. The functional units of the execution unit. So here the functional units are the general purpose registers. Up to this, the first four are the general purpose registers, and pointer and index registers. The SP and BP are the pointer and registers, and SI and DI are the index registers. So the pointer registers are the stack pointer and base pointer, and the index registers are the source index and destination index. And other than these, so the execution unit, it consists the arithmetic logic unit circuitry, and it also consists the flags, flag register, and execution unit control system. So these are the parts of the execution unit. Okay. So here you can see the list of the functional units of the execution unit. So it consists an arithmetic logic unit, and as we discussed that the 8-bit or 16-bit or 32-bit of a processor, which determines the size of the registers, and as well as it also determines the size of the arithmetic logic unit. So since it is a 16-bit microprocessor, the 8086 is a 16-bit microprocessor. So mainly it consists the 16-bit registers. All the registers are mainly the 16-bit registers, and even the arithmetic logic unit is also, I mean that accumulator and all, so they will be the 16-bit size. So here the execution unit, it consists a 16-bit arithmetic logic unit and 16-bit flag register, and it consists the 8-bit general purpose registers and 2 pointer registers, base pointer registers, stack pointer register, and 2 index registers which are 16-bit size, source index register and destination index registers. And if you see this arithmetic logic unit, so this arithmetic logic unit, which is used to perform all the arithmetic and logical operations here. So which is used to perform all the arithmetic operations such as addition, multiplication, division, logical AND or XOR or increment, or rotate and shifting operations. Okay, so here the arithmetic logic unit, it performs all the arithmetic and logical operations here. And the next one is general purpose registers. So as we discussed that the execution unit, it consists the general purpose registers. So here the 8086 has 8-bit general purpose registers. 8-bit general purpose registers. They are AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH and DL. So it has 8-bit general purpose registers. And these 8-bit general purpose registers, they can be combined to perform the 16-bit data operations here, as the AH and AL are combined as AX, BH and BL are combined as BX, and the CH and CL as CX, DH and DL as DX. So here you can perform the 8-bit data operations as well as the 16-bit data operations too. So the 8086 supports for both 8-bit data operations as well as 16-bit data operations. Okay, so to perform the 8-bit data operations, we can use these 8-bit general purpose registers separately. I mean that individually you can use that. AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH, DL. And in order to perform the 16-bit operations or to manipulate the 16-bit data, so you can combine, you can club these individual 8-bit registers. They can be combined as a 16-bit register. So they can be used as a 16-bit register. So that is AX, BX, CX and DX. Right? So the 8086 has 8-bit general purpose registers. They can be used for the data operations, 8-bit data operations. So the same registers can be combined as a 16-bit registers to perform the 16-bit operations. So therefore AX, BX, CX and DX are the 16-bit registers. Okay, remember this. So now we can see the individually the function of the each registers here. So here AX, it is a accumulator register. It is named as accumulator register here. Okay, so the AX is the accumulator register. So it is used to perform the arithmetic, logic and data transfer operations here. So if you want to perform any arithmetic operations such as multiplication, division, addition or logical operations, so we will perform the such operations in this accumulator register here. So here the AX is a accumulator register. The name of the AX register is accumulator register, which is used to perform the arithmetic and logical and data transfer operations. So data transfer operations means it can hold the data temporarily for our operations. Okay, and the very another important or the significance of this accumulator is, so this accumulator register must be used in multiplication, division and IO operations here. So if you want to perform any multiplication operation, so one of the data must be in the accumulator and second data will refer in the other register. So we will see so which register refers for the multiplication and division operations. Okay, so in order to perform the multiplication and division in 8086, one data must be in the accumulator. And what about IO operations here? So what about the IO operations? So in order to communicate with the peripheral devices, so we will mainly perform the two functions, IO read and IO write. So in such operations also the accumulator must be used here. So the data can be fetched into the accumulator register or the data can be transferred from the microprocessor to the peripheral through the accumulator only. So therefore, to perform the IO operations also, the data must be in the accumulator only. Remember. So Now what is an accumulator resistor, or write about the AX resistor. So here the AX resistor is a 16-bit resistor, AX. I am saying that AX, okay, which in turn consists the two 8-bit resistors, isn't it? 8-bit AH resistor and another 8-bit resistor AL resistor. Okay, these two together as a AX. So therefore, AX is an accumulator resistor to perform the arithmetic, logical and data transfer operations, and the accumulator must be used in multiplication, division and IO operations. Remember this. Okay. And the second resistor is base resistor. And the second resistor is base resistor. So BX. So when I say that it is a BX, it is a 16-bit resistor. So which in turn consists the two 8-bit resistors BH and BL, because the BH and BL together it is used as a BX resistor. So therefore the BX in turn consists the two 8-bit resistors BH and BL, higher byte and lower byte. And what is the main purpose of this base resistor here? So here the base resistor BX, it is used to serve as an address resistor. It is used to serve as an address resistor here. So this BX resistor can be used to refer the offset or effective address of the stack pointer. Okay, and the BX resistor can also be used for the data transfer functions. So you can use it. You can use this BX or BH or BL to store the data, 8-bit data for BH and BL, and to store the 16-bit data, we can use the BX resistor. So remember here, the BX resistor can be act as an address resistor as well as a data resistor. Okay, if it is used as an address resistor, it will be used to hold the offset for the stack pointer resistor, for the stack pointer for stack operations. Okay, and then the second one is it can be used for the data operations here. So that is BX. And the third resistor CX here. So CX is named as counter resistor. From the name itself, you can understand that what is its significance and what for we can use this CX resistor here. So CX, counter resistor. CX is a counter resistor and it is used as a counter. So in your programming, if you have any counters or if you want to implement any counting operations or any counting applications, in such applications, we will use the CX resistor for 16-bit counter and the CL is for the lower, I mean that 8-bit counting operations. So we have in turn, the CX in turn, we have two resistors. So CH and CL, isn't it? CH and CL. So the CL is used for the 8-bit counting operations. For 16-bit counting operations, we use the CX resistor. We use the CX resistor here. And another important significance with this CX resistor is this CX resistor, it is mainly used for shifting and rotate operations here. So while you are rotating the data, so how many number of times if we wanted to rotate the data, so the count value is referred with the CX resistor or the CL resistor here. Okay, so therefore here the CX resistor, it is used for shifting and rotating operations. It is used as a counter and it can be used for the shifting and rotate operations. Okay, so this is about counter resistor here. And the another general purpose resistor that you see, DX. So this DX resistor, it is known as the data resistor here. And the significance or the purpose of this DX resistor is, it is used in the multiplication, division and IO operations. So in the earlier we discussed that, so for performing of the multiplication, division and IO operations, the data must be, one of the data must be in the accumulator. So to perform the multiplication and division, one data must be in the AX register. So the second data must be in in DX register. In DX register. So therefore, so in 8086, to perform the multiplication operations and for the division operations, we will mainly use two resistors, AX resistor and DX resistor. Remember this. Okay, so this is about the general purpose resistors. So did you understand about the general purpose resistors? We have 8-bit general purpose resistors: AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DL, DH. Okay, and these 8-bit resistors are combined to use as a 16-bit resistors as AX, BX, CX and DX, right? AX is a accumulator resistor, BX is a base resistor, CX is a counter resistor, DX is a data resistor. So all these resistors are 16-bit. When I am saying that AX, BX, CX and DX, you can also use it for 8-bit individually: AH, AL, BH, BL, CH, CL, DH and DL. Okay, and each resistor has a significance and have a special function. Okay, so you understand this general purpose resistors. So at least reply in the chat box so that I can understand that you people are following. You understand this? Right. And the second one is pointer and index resistors. So as I said that the bus interfacing unit consists the pointer and index resistors here. So the 8086 has two pointer resistors. It has two pointer resistors and two index resistors here. Two pointer resistors and two index resistors here. Okay. So the two pointer resistors are stack pointer resistor and base pointer resistor, and the two index resistors are source index and destination index. So now what is the purpose of the stack pointer and the base pointer resistors? So as the name itself, it suggests that stack pointer. So obviously it relates to the stack operations only, because the name itself says that stack related operations. So for what purpose here the stack pointer resistor is used? So here the stack pointer resistor, which is used to hold the offset or the effective address of the top of the stack. So simply here the stack pointer holds the 16-bit offset address. 16-bit. So it uses for the 16-bit offset address here. Okay, 16-bit offset address to hold the 16-bit offset address for the stack. And what about for the base pointer resistor? So the base pointer resistor is a 16-bit resistor. It is a 16-bit resistor. It holds the base address for stack pointer. So if you to understand this point here, so for a 20-bit physical address, we require the two things, isn't it? We require the two 16-bit address, segment address and then offset address, right? So now here, to have a 20-bit of the stack address, the stack pointer resistor holds the offset address, whereas the base pointer can have the base addressing value. So you can use this value to determine the 20-bit physical address for the stack memory too. And sometimes we can also use the BX register also as a stack segment address. Stack segment address, BX. And you have a separately, you have a SS stack memory. Okay, so these are all the options, or these are all the alternate ways to have the 20-bit of the stack memory. So one way is SS:SP. అంటే ఇక్కడ ఏమవుతుంది, ఇప్పుడు SS అంటే ఏంటి, స్టాక్ పాయింట్ రిజిస్టర్, కాబట్టి అది మనకి ఏమిస్తుంది, సిగ్మెంట్ బేస్ అడ్రస్ ఇస్తుంది 16-bit. స్టాక్ పాయింట్ రిజిస్టర్ ఏంటి, 16-bit ఆఫ్సెట్ అడ్రస్ ఇస్తుంది. ఈ రెండిట్ల నుంచి మనం ఏం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయొచ్చు, యూ కెన్ డిటర్మైన్ ది 20-bit of the stack memory address, 20-bit physical address for stack. Similarly, you can also use the BX, you can also use the BP for to hold the segment or base addresses. Okay, do you understand this or not? You have any confusion? Do you understand this? And the next two registers are the index registers. So here we have two index registers, source index and destination index. And mainly the index registers are used for the memory as well as for the stack operations. Memory as well as for the stack operations. And the SI register and DI registers are used to hold the index value of the source or destination operand for the string operations here. So mainly the SI registers and destination registers are used for the string operations. In the string operations, we will deal with the array of data. We will deal with the array of data. Ante entante, when we have a large data in terms of arrays, a large data in terms of the arrays, you can access such data using the SI registers and DI registers, source index registers and destination index registers. So simply you can say that the source index registers and destination index registers can be used for the string operations. You can use it for the string operations here. So you understand this? Pointer registers and index registers. We have two index registers and two pointer registers. Okay, so mainly these are all the address registers. Okay, ఎందుకని మనకి ఆఫ్సెట్ గాని సిగ్మెంట్ అడ్రస్ ఈ రెండిటిని హోల్డ్ చేస్తుంది 16-bit అడ్రసెస్ ని ఏదో ఒక దాన్ని. ఇప్పుడు స్టాక్ పాయింటర్ అయితే ఆఫ్సెట్ అడ్రస్, బేస్ పాయింటర్ అయితే బేస్ అడ్రస్, సోర్స్ అండ్ డెస్టినేషన్ అన్నది మన రిక్వైర్మెంట్ బట్టి, సోర్స్ అయితే సోర్స్ వాల్యూని, డెస్టినేషన్ అయితే డెస్టినేషన్. So here you can see that DS plus SI. So what is DS? Data segment. What is SI? Source index register. So the contents of the addresses of these two, it refers the source address of the data. And similarly, the extra segment ES plus DI, it refers the destination address. It refers the destination address. So how to understand these two here? So how to understand these 2 points here? So the DS, you know what is the purpose of the data segment register and extra segment registers? The segment registers are used to hold the segment base addresses, upper 16-bit addresses. And what about now SI and DI? The SI and DI, they are used to hold the offset address of the source address and offset address of the destination address. Is it clear? Do you understand this? Pointer and index registers. సింపుల్ గా అర్థం చేసుకుంటే మనకి సెగ్మెంట్ అడ్రసెస్ ఎప్పుడూ కూడా అప్పర్ 16-bit సెగ్మెంట్ అడ్రస్ ని హోల్డ్ చేస్తుంది. మరి ఆఫ్సెట్ అడ్రస్ కూడా కావాలి కదా మనకి. ఆఫ్సెట్ అడ్రస్ అనేవి ఏంటి, అన్ని రిజిస్టర్స్ హోల్డ్ చేయవు. స్పెసిఫిక్ గా ఇన్స్ట్రక్షన్ పాయింటర్, స్టాక్ పాయింటర్, SI, DI ఈ రిజిస్టర్స్ మనకి ఆఫ్సెట్ అడ్రస్ ని హోల్డ్ చేస్తాయి. So is it clear? Do you understand this? Say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the next one is the flags of 8086. So the execution unit of 8086 consists the flag register here. So now here you can see the diagram shows the overall view of the flags of 8086. You can count the number of flags here. So in red color and in black. So 6 are the status flags and 3 are the control flags. So which means that how many flags for 8086 now? So how many flags are there for 8086? Yes, you can answer for this. So how many flags are there? 6 plus 3, 9 flags are there, right? So here you can see the flags of 8086. The diagram shows the flags of 8086. So what is the purpose of the flags here? What is the purpose of the flags? So what is the importance of the flags here? What is the importance of the flags? Can anyone tell? Can you tell? Can anybody? See, right or wrong, you can respond to the question. You can answer for the question. మీరు తప్పు చెప్పడం వల్ల వచ్చే నష్టం ఏమీ లేదు, మీరు మాట్లాడకపోతే వచ్చే నష్టమే ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది. So can anybody answer for what is the purpose of or the significance of the flags or the importance of the flags? So here the flags are mainly used to test the condition of a result here. Okay, so usually we will perform the arithmetic and logical operations. So for manipulating of the data, so we use it to perform the arithmetic and logical operations, right? So isn't it, we will perform the arithmetic and logical operations. So here, after performing of any arithmetic and logical operations, or after performing of any operation, so to reflect the condition of the result, so the flags are used here. And the another one, the flags have a critical importance in the decision making process of the processor. So they will be having a critical importance in decision making process here, in decision making processor. So you all know the branching instructions of a processor. So let us take one of the branching instruction, jump on carry and jump on no carry. We have two types of instruction here, jump on carry and jump on no carry. So what does it mean of the jump on carry? So after performing of any operation, if the carry flag is 1 or if the carry flag is set, so then only the program sequence is transferred or the program sequence is jumped to the some other memory location. So and jump on no carry. So in the second instruction, jump on no carry, if the carry flag is reset, then only the program sequence will be jumped to the new memory location here. So which means that the flags will have a critical importance in decision making here. The flags have a critical importance in decision making here. Okay, so they are used to test the condition of the result, and as well as they will take a critical role. They will take a critical role in decision making of the processor here. Okay, and the 8086 has the 16-bit flag register. Out of the 16-bit, only 9 bits are defined as the flags, and the remaining 5. Okay, and and the remaining bits they can be used for future expansion purpose. Here. Okay, so out of the 16 bits of the flag register, only 9 bits are defined as the flags, and out of the 9, they will be divided into 2 categories. So conditional flags and control flags. So out of the 9, 6 are the conditional flags here. Out of the 9, 6 are the conditional flags and 3 are the control flags here. So what is the purpose of the conditional flags here? The conditional flags are to reflect the result of the arithmetic and logical operations here. They just simply test the condition of the result after performing of any arithmetic and logical operations here. So what are the 6 conditional flags here? So what are the 6 conditional flags? So go back to the slide. So what are the 6 conditional flags here? So the carry flag, parity flag, auxiliary carry flag, zero flag, sign flag, and the overflow flag. So these are the 6 conditional flags. They use it to reflect the result of an arithmetic and logical operation here. And the 3 control flags are there. So the purpose of the control flags are to control the processor operations here. So they will control the direction of the data. They will control the interrupts of the processor, and they will also check the debugging of the instructions. So here the 9 flags are defined into or divided into 2 groups, the status flags and control flags. Out of the 9, 6 are the status flags and 3 are the control flags. The 3 control flags are direction flag, interrupt flag, trap or trace flag. The other name for the trap is trace, trap or trace flag. So the conditional flags are to indicate the status of arithmetic logical operations, and the control flags are used to control the processor operations here. The processor operations here. And you can easily understand these conditional 6 flags: carry flag, sign flag, auxiliary carry flag, parity flag, and overflow flag. So see, if in a arithmetic operation, so after performing of the arithmetic operation or after performing of 2 8-bit or 16-bit numbers, if the result has a carry, I mean that if the result exceeds the capacity of the destination register, so you have to store the result in 8-bit register, but the result is 9-bit, which means that the 8-bit register cannot store the 9th bit. So you can represent it as the carry here. Okay, after performing of the addition, after performing of the any arithmetic and logical operations, if the result has a carry, so you can represent that value with the carry flag, so that the carry flag is set. And here the another point is the same carry flag is used to represent the borrow of the subtraction operation here. Okay, so for addition operation, the same carry flag to represent the carry of the result. In the subtraction, the carry flag is used to represent the borrow of the subtraction operation, right? And then the sign flag. So similarly, after performing of any arithmetic and logical operations, if the most significant bit of the result is 1, if the most significant of the result is the 1, then the sign flag is set, otherwise it is a reset. So which means that the sign flag is used to represent the positive and negative numbers. Okay, so sign numbers and unsigned numbers. So in the sign numbers,
Vamsi sir, a small interruption. Sorry for the interruptions. Vamsi sir, please. This is Surendra Babu sir. Hello.
Chappani, Surendra sir, chappani.
Sir, మీ క్లాస్ అయిన తర్వాత నాకు ఒకసారి ఇన్ఫార్మ్ చేయండి. హెచ్ఓడి గారి లింక్ పెట్టాలి.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so here the sign flag is used to differentiate differentiates the positive and negative numbers here, signed and unsigned numbers. Okay, so in the signed numbers, the numbers are the positive and negative. Unsigned numbers. Okay, so here if the most significant bit of the result is 1, then it will be viewed as a negative number. It will be viewed as a negative number. If it is not, so then it is a positive number. Okay, and then 0 flag. So you can easily understand, after performing of any arithmetic and logical operations, if the results as 0, so then the 0 flag is set, otherwise the 0 flag is reset. And then the other one is auxiliary carry flag. So where in the auxiliary carry flag, mainly the auxiliary carry flag is used for BCD operations, decimal operations. Okay, so in the decimal operations, if a carry is passing from the lower nibble to the upper nibble, or from the lower byte to the upper byte, okay, so in such cases the auxiliary carry flag will be affected. So the carry flag is set and it is internally manipulated by the processor. The external user, so externally the user cannot use this auxiliary carry flag here. Okay, it is only for internal purpose. The processor only can use the auxiliary carry flag here. Okay, so when the auxiliary carry flag will be set, when there is a carry passing from the lower nibble to the upper nibble, I mean that D3 bit to the D4, or the bits are transferred from the lower byte to the upper byte. So mainly it refers with the lower nibble from D3 to the D4 here. And then parity, the number of ones in the result reflects the even parity and odd parity of the result. So after performing of any arithmetic and logical operations, if the result, the number of ones in the result reflect the even parity and odd parity. So if the result has a even number of ones, the parity flag is set. If the result has odd number of ones, the parity flag is reset here. So this is all about the carry flag, sign flag, zero flag, auxiliary carry flag, and parity flag. And the another conditional flag is overflow flag. What is the difference between the carry flag and overflow flag here? The carry flag is also used to represent the extra bit of the result, whereas the overflow flag is also used to represent the extra bit of the result. Then what is the difference between the carry flag and the overflow flag here? See, so here the carry flag is used to perform the normal operations of the addition and subtractions, whereas the overflow flag is used to represent with the sign numbers here. So while you are performing or while you are operating with the sign numbers, because in the sign number, the MSB bit is used to represent the sign of the result, whether it is a positive or negative. So therefore, the rest of the 7 bits are used to represent the magnitude. So now, if you have an extra result bit, so that bit is represented with the overflow bit here. So mainly it is used for the sign numbers here. Okay, and these are all about the conditional flags. So we will conclude for today's class with the 1 or 2 points. And the three control flags. So the control flags are used for processor control operations here. So we have 3 control flags: direction flag, interrupt flag, trace flag. So here the direction flag is used to indicate the source and destination pointer registers. So whether to increment or decrement the source and destination register contents, the direction flag is used to represent here. If the direction flag is 0, the contents are decremented. If the direction flag is 1, the contents are incremented point of view, they will be represented. So we will see furtherly also regarding the direction flag. So when we discuss about the instruction set, okay. So if you are not able to follow, you can ask me also, okay. And then interrupt flag. So you can easily understand that interrupt flag. So if this flag is used to interrupt the processor here. So if this flag is 1, then only the interrupt process will be enabled. Otherwise it is disabled. అంటే మైక్రోప్రాసెసర్లో ఇంటరప్ట్ అనేది మనం చేయాలి అంటే కంపల్సరీ ఇంటరప్ట్ ఫ్లాగ్ అనేది మస్ట్ బి 1 చేయాలి. అది 1 అవ్వలేదు అనుకోండి, ఇంటరప్ట్ ప్రాసెస్ అనేది ఇనిషియేట్ అవ్వదు. ఓకే, సో టు ఇనిషియేట్ దట్ ప్రాసెస్ యూ మస్ట్ సెట్ దిస్ ఫ్లాగ్ టు 1. ఓకే, and the next one is trap flag or the trace flag. So what is the purpose of this trap? The trap is used to test the course of the program. I mean that debugging of the program. So if this flag is 1, the microprocessor enters into the single step mode here. it enters into the single step mode here. What do you mean that single step mode? So the single step mode means that, so here in the debugging of the program, we can do two things here. One is, one by one instruction, you can manipulate the data. I mean that you can examine the results of each instruction one by one, or you can have a breakpoint. So up to a breakpoint, you can execute the instructions, and after that you can examine the results here. So in this trap flag, if this flag is 1, it enters into the single step mode here. So single step mode means instruction by instruction. Suppose meeku 4 instructions unnai anukondi, okokka instruction execute chesin tarvata, prati instruction execute ayin tarvata result anedi manam examine chesukochu. Ante enti, which is nothing but a kind of debugging. Okay, so the trap flag, it allows the processor in the single step mode, which means that the processor will be entered into the debugging mode. Okay, so this is about the flags of 8086 here. Okay, flags of 8086. So here you can see the bit positions of each flag also, D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, 5, 6, 7, and you can see the bit positions of these flags here. So the bit position of the flags are very, very important. Okay. So with this we completed the bus interfacing unit of the execution unit of the 8086 microprocessor, and more or less we completed the 8086 architecture here. Okay, so this is very, very, very important. సో ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ అనేది కష్టంగా ఏముండదు, మీరు కొంచెం ఫోకస్ చేసి ఫాలో అయితే, అండ్ వాట్ ఈస్ వాట్, అసలు ఏ రిజిస్టర్ ఏం చేస్తుంది ఏంటి, వాట్ ఈస్ వాట్ అనేది మీరు కొంచెం ఒక్కసారి ఫోకస్ చేస్తే డెఫినెట్గా మీకు బెనిఫిట్ ఉంటుంది. ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ వస్తే 50% ఆఫ్ ద మైక్రో ప్రాసెస్ సిలబస్ ఈస్ ఓవర్, డన్. కాకపోతే మీరు ప్రతి పాయింట్ని